going to be, and then adjust it once you bring it in.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another year of Game Developers Club, everybody. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to hop on the board and we're going to write down a few things. I don't know if you guys, the board is seen or not back here, but we'll write down a few things on what we want to do today. So I was thinking, one thing we touched on but we never ended up actually implementing was GUI skins, right? I don't think we ever did that. We never had like fonts to our basic GUI. So I was thinking we could add in that. I remember we downloaded the Karate font, right? We did that last quarter. We never incorporated it, I believe. So we can do that. It'll be GUI. I'll do this bigger. It'll be GUI Style / Skin. Trying to show you guys how to do both of those. Then we could work on implementing more basic GUI with that skins and styles. Alright. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to see that you're like, this sounds interesting, I want to check that out? Nothing? You guys don't care? Let's just F around today? Okay. Sounds good. First day back. Shouldn't be anything too serious, right? Okay, well, let's see if I can remember how to do this. Alright. Here we go. So I seem to have lost the original file that we were working on because I thought I had some more stuff in it. Like we incorporated those. I know that we made trigger colliders for a guy that could walk around, right? And we did basic GUI functions. Like there's like a wall you'd walk through. It would say like you walk through the wall or whatever. I remember we did stuff like that, but I lost it, and I'm just honestly going to admit that I don't know where any of it is. So maybe it's on a different computer. Maybe it's somewhere on this computer. I'm not sure. That's okay. So let's start with a new scene here. Actually, we'll just save this scene as a new one. Call it start. And let's take and just delete everything. The player isn't actually a prefab, so we'll save it there. Actually, we can even leave it. That's fine. Okay. So we're going to hop into here. We're going to make a new script. We'll call it start page. We're going to need to also import our font. Have it on the desktop here. Good. Fire this up. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay, so one of the cool things is, I mean, we talked a little bit about the difference between public and private types, and so one of the cool things you can do is you can make let's do a public GUI style. Now let's name it styler. And now when you save that, we can go down and we can assign the script to, let's just put it on, let me pull this camera off, and I'm going to delete just everything here. So our main camera just shows nothing. So let's go ahead and we'll grab that start page script and we'll throw it on there. And now I have this little styler object, which is really cool because it does everything that it allows us to basically make a style of our GUI to what we want. So we'll start by just doing the font, right? We're going to drag and drop this font right onto there. You can also access it by hitting that little button, right? And you can go get a little pop-up dialog. And we'll change the font size to, say, like 20. Down, unlock on. change it to 20. And now here we can also have these little additional drop-down menus that give us the different choices, right? So if we're going to have this style, we want to have the normal style of it, which gives us a color and a texture that we can assign to it, like a background texture. We can also have, if we hover over this GUI element, we can change its background and its texture color. Or if we click on it, and that's what active is, if it's being clicked. And all these little fun things. So let's just start here. I'm going to import, I think that I have a file here from one of my other games. No, not there. Oh man. I mean, we can also do this in GIMP. I mean, this is just, if I can find it, it was just some little background image, perfect, that I created the other day. Yeah, so I mean, if you can see that right here, it's just a small little image that I created. It's black. It's actually gray and it's see-through. We should make this transparent. And it has a little blue border because that's kind of the color stylizing of my Robot Ninja game that I was working on. And I'm realizing now that, anyway, I wasn't showing Unity. Okay, so we imported this little background image. It's just something to put here on our GUI skin that's right here. So we can take this background image, we can drag it and drop it. It's just a little 2D image. Again, you can select it through the little button on the side. And we can change the text color. Let's make the text color like bright yellow or something that's really going to stand out so we'll be able to see it. On hover, then we can change its hover color also to, we'll make it red. And its active color to, let's try bright green. This way we should be able to see a big difference in all the things that we do. Okay, let's go back into mono develop now. Now in our on GUI function, on GUI, we're going to put GUI dot. We're just going to make a new box. Put it in the middle. We'll make it 200 pixels wide. Will be good. We're going to have it say hello, and we're going to use this GUI style that we just created, styler. Styler, S-T-Y-L-E-R. All right. Now when we run it, hopefully we'll have a nice picture here that says hello. Okay, it's not centered at all. But so you can kind of see, we can put it centered. Probably do it right here in the alignment, middle center, perfect. So that's all controlled from our GUI style, which is its own little object in Unity that's really handy for doing GUIs. And we can import any font that we want. Just drag and drop there. You can change its font size also right here, which is really nice. And you know, that's a great way if you know you're going to be using this same GUI style consistently throughout your whole game. You can just continuously use this GUI style. You know, if you're going to have a lot of buttons in your game or a lot of things that are very uniform, this is really helpful. So you can also, I guess active, it's not changing text color, but that's neither here nor there. Since it's just a box, I don't think boxes can actually activate. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, geez. All right, so we'll go back in here. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, so you can change the font size. Like I was saying, you can change the font size here. Everything you can do, you can access right here since it's a public variable attached to our main camera. Since it's a public variable in the script, we can change it a lot of different things. We can change its text color, right? We can make it blue, we can make it black, white, you know, whatever. And yeah, so that's the idea behind a GUI style, which is you can incorporate a lot of different ways. Now, one thing we're going to do a little differently here is now I'm going to show you guys how to create a GUI skin, which is sort of like a GUI style. but it's more like you'll create a bunch of different skins, and each of these skins you'll incorporate individually for, you know, you can have like maybe a giant logo across the top, or you want to have different stylized buttons, or you want to have like a help menu, or you know, you name it. So it's pretty easy to do. You can go in here, GUI Skin, create new, right click on anywhere inside your assets, any folder actually, then just go to create, and then GUI Skin, it's at the bottom. GUI Skin, you'll see a lot of very similar things with the GUI Skin as you do with the GUI Styler. I mean, if you can see it over here in the inspector, you have pretty much all the same attributes that you do in GUI Style with the GUI Skin. But let's rename this to, let's say, box skin. I spelled that wrong. Okay, then now we're just going to do sort of the same thing. Since we only have one font, it might be hard to differentiate between the two, but that's okay. Let's make this the whole thing with GUI Skin though is you can tell it what you want to change, right? You have boxes, buttons, toggles, labels, text fields, text areas. I mean, you know, they go on forever. You got all your sliders, but let's just make it a button. And same thing, you can change the normal hover, active, focused. You know, actually we only deal with focused, so let's not even worry about that. But let's just throw in our basic background image, and let's make it, I don't remember what our default color was. We can just make it yellow because it was yellow. That stands out. But then on hover, we're going to want to change that to green or something. Yeah, I mean, this is all, it doesn't matter what color, just to show you guys. Then on active, so when we click it, we'll turn it white, and that'll give us, it'll look and feel sort of like a button. Font size, let's bump it up to, I'll make this 20 as well. You know, the other one I just kind of mess around with. So now we're going to go back into mono, and another real easy script here. We're just going to make another public variable, and we're making a GUI Skin though instead of GUI Style. Skin, and now let's go back into Unity, and we go back into this in our camera that has our start page script on there. Now you'll see that we have an empty variable for skin, which is that GUI Skin slot that we just created. So let's take this box skin that we just made and let's drag and drop it into there. You can, again, you know, you can hit this little button and you can pick and choose. It's helpful when you have, you know, 100 different skins all in a folder. It's nice to be able to sort it through that way versus drag and dropping everything. So now that we have our box skin sort of started, we got a button. Okay, now we got to go back into mono. We got to make a new button. And let's just put it like 100 by 400. We'll make it a. Let's make it a. Actually, let's put it in the middle again. Sorry. And we'll make it a small button, and so we'll make it 75 pixels wide. So we're gonna want to subtract it by 70, or we're gonna be 150 pixels wide. So let's subtract it by 75. Screen dot height divided by 2. 30. Yeah, that should look okay. And we'll say start. I know that this button isn't going to go anywhere at this moment, but that's okay. Because ideally you want to put buttons inside if statements, because this is going to be a button that just doesn't do anything. So for the moment, if we leave it as is, we'll go back and we'll check it. It won't be changed to our new skin because we're going to have to individually assign when our skin shows up. Now if we run it, yeah, see how we just have this classic start, the normal basic Unity default GUI. So what we can do is we can go in here, and then since we made this skin, and since we assigned this skin an attribute and a new item, we can go into the GUI, type GUI.skin equals skin, because that's the name of our variable. And now when we run it, we should have a little, yeah, okay, so it doesn't look great, but you guys get the idea, right? So you can access different skins in a number of different ways. I'm going to go center this because it's killing my OCD right now. Okay, good. So it's all working as intended. Okay, yeah, so when you hover over, you click down, see how it turns white? It's going to give us this feeling of a button. One thing we can also do is, I guess I could just do it now. I'll fire up GIMP real quick, and we'll make a quick little change here. Oh, it's tweaking out. I hope that's not tweaking out. Are you guys watching the stream right now? Is it fluttering? Is it fluttering, or can you actually see this image? Okay, well, I'll just do it real quick, just, you know, for the sake of understanding. So one thing we'll do, all right, so when we click down, we'll make everything darker. So we can just add a new layer here on the side, and we'll just make it simply just a black layer. Cover the whole layer in darkness, but we're going to change its opacity down to like maybe like 65%. Alright, cool. Now we need to save this. We'll just straight up export it. And say background image on click. On active, since that's what Unity calls it. Okay, now we can export it, and we can export it directly into Unity itself, which is nice, because then we don't have to worry about what am I trying to say? Then we don't have to worry about importing the new asset. We can, like I said, so we can directly export it. Make sure you make it transparent, since it is a transparent object. And now in our skin, on active, we'll take this background and we'll put it on there. Just so now when we click, it'll turn dark. You see what I'm saying? I mean, just little things like that. I mean, that's probably not a very good image to have behind it, but it gives you the visual representation. So that's more or less how we're going to want to set up all of our GUI. I mean, it's going to be done primarily through these skins and these backgrounds. There's other ways you can do it. You can do it purely through scripting. I don't really recommend it. This is the first time I ever made a GUI. That's what I did. I scripted everything, and I did mouse events for it, and it was way more work than just using what Unity gives you in their engine. So work smarter, not harder. One thing we could also do is, if we wanted to incorporate like the main page, front page logo that it has, you know, the name of the game on it or whatever, we could do that as well. And we would just make some image in GIMP and then import it into this, and then in its GUI style, I'll pull up this GUI style real quick, or in the GUI skin, I mean either one, you'll just change the background image to whatever image it is that you created it, and then you don't give it any text color. So you can give it actually whatever text color you want. But here, let's fire up mono again real quick. We'll hop back in there. And just instead of having any words, we can just leave this string empty, and then we'll just have the background, right? So imagine that instead of just this crappy background image that I did in 10 seconds on GIMP, you have a very detailed and really robust, cool-looking logo for your game name or something like that. So that'll give you, that's just an easy way to integrate a logo into your game. And that's, that's how I recommend doing it. I'm sure there might be an easier way of doing it other than making a whole GUI style, but this works. It'll work great. Yeah, so let's I guess we can make this a little more interactive, though. I think that we've gone over. Oh, sorry, I didn't show any of that in mono. So yeah, so what I was saying is you can just create your main image, your main logo for the game itself, and then when you're in mono, that's when I got rid of that string. I just made it an empty string, and then you can just access your background or your image straight up for whatever you want it to be. So let's go back into Mono now, and let's make this button an actual button. It's easy, just add an if statement on the end. So if we click that button, we're going to load level. Anybody remember what the level name was, that scene name was that we were in originally? I don't know what it is. Hang on, I'll just check. Practice zone. 2 words. Okay. So we'll load level practice zone. Alright, so now when we click that button, right, it'll load up the zone. But one thing we have to do and make sure is anytime that you are going to add a new scene into your game, or a new level into your game, or whatever you want to call it, you got to make sure you go into its build settings, and then you'll have this scenes in build, and you want to make sure that you have the scenes you're going to be using inside your build. Otherwise, you'll get an error. I didn't mean to add start twice. You can either add current scene, the scene that you currently have open, or you can drag and drop. Right, so now when we build and run this game, you will see it'll get the little Unity Splash logo, and then it'll immediately load into the start. And then when we click that button, it's going to load us into this level. Oh, see, it hadn't been built with load settings. Practice zone, which is interesting because I thought I just did that, which I did. But I spelled practice wrong. That happens a lot. Okay, so we got application.load practice zone. Now we're going to load into this practice zone upon clicking that button. Pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy stuff. Make sure it's saved. Make sure you drag it into your scenes along with start. Like I said, you can add current. Since we're on start, that's why if you add current, it adds start. Versus we can go in here. We can delete this practice zone from here. We can go into project, open up our practice zone, and add current, right? Either way, both way works. So let's go back to our start. Let's clear that error because I don't like seeing errors, and let's just run it. Now when we click start, we're going to fire it up into this little scene that we created a long time ago. So yeah, cool. So that's that. That's very basic GUI, intro to GUI, and how our GUI is going to be affecting our game, and how we really access our GUI. You guys have any questions? Does that make sense for the most part? Cool. A lot of nods. All right, solid. Okay, great. And then let's move on. Anybody want to learn anything? Anything in particular? I might not be able to teach it, but I could. Well, we can figure it out as a team. Okay. All right. Well, let's go and let's toy around with our character controller. Let's make it actually work properly. So one thing we can do, since we have it, he's able to turn left, right, forward, backward.
All that good stuff. That's okay. Game developer squad, you like making games?
Nope. All right. At least he said no thank you instead of like, no, get out. All right. Could have been bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new bool. Call it diagonal. And then in our update function, before we run into all of this stuff, we're just going to say if left and forward or right and forward. You know, we're going to have left forward, left back, or right back. Then we're just going to turn diagonal to true. Sorry. Left, and backward, or right, backward. Else diagonal is false. Now what we're going to do is, in our actual movement, before we move forward, back, left, right, before we even calculate that, we're gonna ask ourselves to make sure diagonal, make sure it's not diagonal. Then we're going to say, actually, you know what, when I think about this, we probably don't need to calculate 4 diagonals because it'll still move forward and backward at the same time. We just need to rotate it properly. Well, actually, that's fine. That's totally cool. Now we'll just say if diagonal is going to be true, let's do left and forward. Game object. Actually, I'll just copy this line. So we're going to move left and forward. So we're just going to change this to, what's left? Left is -1, 0, 0. Since you can only do this in ints, we're going to have to sort of cast this into a float. So do 0.5f, with the f's afterwards, so the game understands. Forward is going to be 0, 0, 1, but we'll change that also to 0.5. Since it's going to be using both of those at the same time, we don't want to be moving twice the speed when we move diagonal. I mean, you guys get that, right? Then we can call rotator, which is that function we made a long time ago. And if you're going forward and left, you're going to be at 315 degrees, right? Okay. I believe. 45 minus 360 is 315. Okay, and cool. So now let's do that for the rest. We'll say if right and forward. Negative 0.5. Let me make sure you can actually cast in these 0.5s into Unity. I might be getting a huge error right here. I'm getting an error, okay. But my script's not really done yet. That's okay. Let's just delete this. Let's just get just forward and left working correctly first. Okay, so it looks like it's cool with our 0.5s. I wasn't sure if that would be the case, but now let's try this. Let's see if it will actually rotate us the proper amount that we want to be rotating by. So let's go back into Unity. Oh, I've had Unity up this whole time. Sorry for those watching at home. Let's change our scene to practice zone. Okay, alright, that sort of works, right? I guess head doesn't move very much, so it's kind of hard to tell. That's okay. So it's easy. Now we can just do right, diagonal right, all across the board. Do right and forward. Just get rid of the negative sign. Left and backward. I'm just going to change this to negative. Alright, that's that. Now we need to figure out the rotations. Right and forward is 45 degrees. Left and backwards is going to be, what is that going to be? 270. Man, I haven't done math with the circles in a while. Oh, thank you. It should be good catch. That's 135. Okay, now let's see how well our character controller is looking now. Okay, pretty solid. I mean, he kind of goes where he's supposed to go. Oh, except for right and backwards, he's moving forward still. That should be negative, that's why. Okay, cool. Now we should be moving around with grace. No, it's not. Moonwalking, that's kind of cool. Alright, so what are we doing? Right and backward there? Okay. I did, you're right. Although we could just make all of them inverted, then we could just moonwalk all over the place. Maybe that could be the whole game, the moonwalker. Alright, so now it's actually moving pretty good. Oh, I feel like we're moving extra fast for some reason. Maybe not. Okay, but you know, so now we can at least move in 8 dimensions, which is good. It's a good start. What else do we have missing on this character controller? Our jump's not too great either, so we can toy with that a little bit. I think one thing we'll do for that is we'll make a jump timer. Oh, one thing I found out, and I think along somewhere of these lines I've probably heard this before, but there's an awake function along with a start function, and the awake function is called before the start function. So everything that I have in my start function is more stuff that I should have in the awake function. That's about all I know of it, is that the awake happens before the start, and the awake happens initially upon loading it, but I believe the start happens initially upon loading it as well, so there's not a huge difference there, to the best of my knowledge. I'm sure there is. Someone will probably flame that and be like, no, there's a massive difference, it changes everything, but I don't know. For the sake of what we're doing, it's not going to make a difference. But I figured I would just let you guys know that as well, because it's sort of interesting information. So let's find our jump. Where's our jump at? There we go. Jump equals true. What's that? Oh yeah, am I not showing mono? Oh, this whole time. That's okay. So if it's not looking, I just added this awake function, and I threw everything that was in our start function into the awake function because, like I said, awake gets called before start, which isn't going to make like I said, it won't make a difference really for us. So also in our awake, let's initialize our jump timer. And let's say like 2 seconds of 1 second. 1 second of flying through the air should be enough. And now what we're going to do is we don't need this key up. We will make a falling rule though. So let's go ahead and let's take this out altogether. And then we're going to say if not falling. If we're not falling, then we can jump. That makes sense, right? You shouldn't be able to jump as you're falling. So I think we need to have another the jump timer and the jump cooldown, which will be the timer for the cooldown after we do jump in the air. So if we're jumping, we're going to add force upward to make the jump. And then we're going to say also that's jump timer plus equals, or no, jump, I'm getting these two confused. Jump timer plus equals time dot delta time. And that should actually go, that'll go into what's called fixed update. I don't know if I've told you guys about fixed update before. It's just fixed update gets called, it's a method that Unity calls every second in real world time, I think. It's a based measurement versus update. Update will fluctuate depending on the frame rate of your actual computer and what's going on. So some games or if it's lagging out hard, you know, you'll be moving really slow. But if you use fixed update, it'll avoid that. So a lot of time all of this movement actually probably should go into fixed update. But I'm not going to worry about it for now since it's not too extreme. But we are going to take our jump timer. I'm going to throw that into fixed update. I'm going to switch these two out also. Jump timer is going to equal 0. Jump cooldown is going to equal 1.0. And I mean, all this is really doing is just making it so when we jump, our guy's not just going to fly off forever. Okay, now one more if our jump timer is greater than or equal to our jump cooldown, we'll make jump false. Now that should give us a little jump timer here. Oh, and we also need to say falling. We also need to put falling to true. Falling isn't really necessary. Falling is just kind of in air. I could change that to a better descriptive word since we're not actually falling if we're moving upward. But that's okay. I think you guys understand the general idea of what's going on here. Hello. Welcome to the Game Developers Club. Sure. Yeah, you're gonna learn how to make video games in the process, though. Okay, it is cool. It's super cool. The coolest. All right, where were we? I have an error because I'm trying to convert. It's 1 and 2 and oh yeah, let's make these floats, not ints. Might be better. Might be better. Might be worse. We'll see. See if this jump actually works. Whoa, it's very powerful, but it does look as if it is working. Maybe. Okay, let's reduce the amount to like 10. That might be a little bit better. And also, let's go into our scene and let's grab our player. Sorry, I'm on mono. All right, let's go into Unity. Let's grab our player, and since this is driving me crazy and watching him fall to the ground, let's just move him to the ground so we can start flat. Alright, that's going to be better. Movement's pretty good. Jump. Okay, it looks like 10 was too little. Alright, so this is the fun part of game development, is sitting here testing over and over and over, trying to figure out what a good amount is. So 100 was too much, 10 was too little. Let's try 50. 50 might work. Alright, let's try this out. Let's head back into Unity. See if he actually jumps now. Takes off still, big time. That's okay, he slowly starts to fall. Slowly. And he can't jump, while in air. Oh, but he's also not resetting once he hits the ground. So now we have to find that. Oh, because we're not resetting his jump timer. This might cause an infinite loop, where he's just gonna fly forever. We'll see. That's the funniest jump. He just takes off. Okay. Okay, so that's, oh no, he's able to jump now while in air. Okay, that's not good. Actually, that's okay. That won't be too hard to fix. We're gonna sort of Jimmy rig at this, which I don't want to do, but it's okay. We're gonna do a we're gonna put this on trigger enter function. Toy around with a little bit. That accepts a collider. Say what was our tag's name? It was something weird, right? Like hero dude or something. What do we tag this guy? Oh, it looks like it's not tagged. I remember we did tag him though. I remember that. So just saying. I think it was Hero Dude, so we'll go back to that. I like that name, Hero Dude. The tag's name is Hero Dude. Actually, no, sorry, I'm doing this totally wrong. Our collider's gonna be the ground. So when we hit the ground, we're gonna tell him, we're gonna have our guy realize, okay, I'm now on the ground, so now I can jump again because I've hit the ground. So we're gonna change this tag to, and we're going to do tag. We'll do it based off the name this time. It's equal to ground strings. Hi. How are you? Are you teaching a class in here at 1:15 or 1:30? Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up in can we get 2 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fantastic. We'll wrap this up in 2 minutes. Anyways, so. This will conclude our stream for the day, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys all for being here. We'll meet again next week. I'm going to try and find us a room that will allow us to continue these discussions a little bit later, but it's fine for now. Next week, I guess we'll get that jump working real nicely, and we'll have our character being controlled a little bit better, because currently, like I said, he is still just flying off in outer space. So we don't really want that. That's okay. We'll come back to that, and I guess people on my own couldn't even see, but that's okay. So next week we're going to work on, that's what we'll focus on, is making our jump working for our guy, even though that's not really something we need for the game that we're making, that these people don't know about watching at home. Come to the meeting if you want to know what we're making. But that's okay. I mean, this is all still important information. I mean, learning about triggers and entering triggers and the way that those react with the in-game world is really important. So anyways, okay, yeah, thanks for watching, and tune in next week. Remember, like and subscribe and do all that fantastic stuff, and we will see you next time.